What's happening, everyone? Steve here, Cars with Steve, and today I'm going to show you how to set up Android Auto and Apple CarPlay inside of the 2021 Lincoln Aviator. The process is pretty simple. It's a plug-and-play solution, and it literally takes a couple minutes between the Android or the Apple side of things. But if you run into any problems, drop down in the comment section below and let me know. Before we get started, if you enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, and if you're really enjoying it, consider subscribing and drop a comment down below because it absolutely helps the channel grow. But let's dive into it and see how we can set CarPlay up inside of the 2021 Lincoln Aviator. Now, connecting a phone to the vehicle is a very straightforward process. So what we're going to do on our phone, you're just going to make sure that your Bluetooth is turned on. So as of right now, Bluetooth is on, and we're just going to hit the add phone button.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
And we're just waiting for the Aviator. There we go. So Lincoln Aviator is showing up. And as I mentioned, this is going to be the same to connect for either Android or Apple devices. And we're just going to press and watch this.
Confirm that the pin displayed on sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Okay, so we just want to make sure that the pin numbers match up, and we're just going to hit pair on the phone and yes on the screen.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Okay, and taking a look on my phone, it's now asking me, do I want to allow contacts and favorites to sync? Yeah, I'm connecting my phone for a reason, so let's do that. And we've got a few other things that have popped up as well. So 911 Assist, I always recommend turning that one on. And the big reason why is because if you're ever in an accident and the vehicle and your phone is connected, the vehicle is automatically going to dial 911 for us. Automatic contact downloads when the vehicle recognizes new contacts. Do we want to download those automatically? Yep, absolutely. And we're just going to hit finish. So as you can see there, I am now fully connected. We've got my calls, my contacts, my phone. We can use Siri. We've got a do not disturb mode, text messages. And then if you've got multiple phones, you can just go change phone in order to switch between any connected devices. So really, really neat. Now, if for whatever reason we ever need to disconnect a phone, we're just going to go to our settings. We can go to phone. And then we've got our Bluetooth devices, we can manage devices, etc. So if we go to our Bluetooth devices, we've got my phone, and we can either disconnect or we can completely remove it. So that's where we would go in order to remove phones. Now, contacts have now downloaded, so that's great. So we can now use the steering wheel button in order to make phone calls. But if we jump into the app screen for a second, so on my phone, I've got a radio app called LiveX Live. So it essentially works directly through the middle screen there. So radio apps like LiveX Live, Spotify, etc. will work directly through this middle screen. Now, whether you're on an iPhone or an Android device, if for whatever reason your apps aren't showing up, make sure that your operating system is up to date and you've got the most recent version of the app installed as well. Otherwise, it may not necessarily work properly. Now, setting up Android Auto or Apple CarPlay is a very straightforward process. Let's start on the Apple CarPlay side of things first. We're just going to take our USB cable and plug it into any of the available USB ports. And we're going to take the opposite end of the cable and we're just going to plug our phone in. Boom. Step number one is complete. Now watch this. Apple CarPlay lets you use your phone in a way, so we need to hit continue in order for that to work. Privacy terms and conditions, same thing, we need to agree to that. Okay, now in order to finish setting up CarPlay, all I have to do is just make sure that my phone is unlocked. So we're just going to unlock. And as you can see, it's now connected. It's also asked me, do I want to allow CarPlay with Sync 3 while my phone is locked? Absolutely, because if it's not, then you won't be able to use it if your phone is locked. So we're just going to hit allow there, and we're now fully connected. So really, really nice. As you can see, we've got my phone calls, we've got my messages, and we've got a number of other things. Now, one thing to point out is that you don't necessarily have to strictly use factory navigation. We can go through Google Maps, or Apple Maps, I should say, and on this phone, so on my iPhone, I've also got Waze installed as well as Google Maps. So you can literally use any of those map apps directly through this middle screen instead, which is great. So on the Waze app, we've got our active speed and a few other things as well. Press this button to bring us back to this home screen. Now, one thing to note on the Apple side of things, so if we go into our settings, we're just going to go General and then CarPlay. We've got some flexibility there. So if we take a look, we've got my car connected. So we're just going to press that and we can customize it now. So let's say if you have a tendency to maybe use the Waze app a little bit more, we can take it, we can drag it to the very top, and as you can see, it now has dynamically updated the screen for us. If you have a tendency not to use certain things like audiobooks or the calendar, you can also remove those from the screen, and as you can see, they're completely gone, but they are still available there. So one of the nice things is that, let's say if for whatever reason we've kind of messed up, we've played around with too many settings, we can reset it to the default by pressing the reset button at the top, reset our layout, and it's going to flash away for a second and bring it back to that default setting again. So as you can see, we're now connected there, and it's brought back all of the other ones that we've deleted. Now, if for whatever reason we need to get back to the Sync 3 home screen, all we're going to do is press this sync button, and that launches us back to the sync instead. So we've got our phone hot button, we've got our Maps hot button, we've got Apple CarPlay, and then our preferences. So we can easily hop back into CarPlay by pressing that button, jump back to the Sync 3 screen instead. Now, let's say if you want to have your phone charging, so I'm physically connected to charge, but I don't want to use CarPlay because maybe you want to use factory navigation instead and not use your phone's data. All we're going to do is go to CarPlay preferences. We can either remove my phone or we can just toggle CarPlay off for a second. So my phone is still charging, but as you can see there, I'm now going to be using factory navigation instead of my phone navigation. So really, really useful that we've got the capabilities to do that. And that's going to be the basics of setting up Apple CarPlay inside of the Lincoln Aviator. Setting up Android Auto is the exact same process. We're just going to take our USB cable, same thing, plug it into any of the available USB ports, and we're just going to take the opposite end and exact same thing. We're just going to plug our phone in and watch this. Android Auto. So I need to make sure that I unlock my phone in order for it to continue. So I'm going to unlock, I'm going to continue on the screen. Same thing, we do have to connect and say okay to this in order for it to work, so we're going to agree to that. Phone is connected, so we're just going to unlock to continue, and we're just going to follow the instructions on screen. So we're just going to press next. So we've got the ability to use either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay directly through this middle screen. On my phone, it's now asking me if I want to allow the vehicle to get access to my messages. Let's hit OK to that. Now, because I've got multiple phones connected, we can also set a phone as a favorite. So if you have a tendency to use one or the other, you've got the capabilities to do that. We've also got the ability to download our contacts as well. And as you can see, we are now connected. Now, this phone does not have Waze or a few other things installed, so we've got the capabilities to do that if we wanted to. We can run off of Google Maps, we can run off of Waze, etc. Now, as I mentioned, if your app isn't showing up on there, don't worry about it. All you're going to do is just make sure that your operating system is updated, and you've also got the most recent version of the app installed as well. And as you can see there, we've got my phone, we've got reminders, weather. We can also look at our notification center, or we can use the Google Assistant instead. Now, very similar to what we saw on the Apple side of things, if we just search for Android Auto on our Android devices, we've got a number of different options that are available there as well. So basic Android Auto, we are connected over USB. We've got some connection help, a look at previously connected cars, and we can also use our Google Assistant to say these types of phrases in order to bring our assistant to life. We've also got the ability to resume our media. We've got our Google Assistant, we've got weather, notifications, system. We've got a ton of different options that are available there. So we've got the capability to kind of customize things as well, which is pretty nice. And we've got the ability to customize our launcher. So very similar to what we just finished seeing on the iPhone side of things, we can either enable or disable things. We can kind of tweak things and change things around on the screen. Now, one thing to note is that on the Android Auto side of things, on Apple, it just automatically updated it. On the Android Auto side of things, we do need to reset Android Auto in order for it to actually take any changes we made into account. But we can disable things if we don't like to use certain things, or we can also add other shortcuts available as well. And then very similar to what we saw on the Apple side of things, if we wanted to jump back into our main screen, we're just going to hit the sync button there. And we've also got a hotkey to jump back into Android Auto. We can look at my Android Auto preferences, which means that we can either remove my Galaxy. So let's remove it for a second. So Android Auto is no longer connected there. So I'm now again running off of, so we're going to disable. And as you can see there, so my phone is connected via USB, which means that it's charging, but I'm not connected to Android Auto anymore. So really, really nice. Now, if I wanted to remove a phone, very similar to what we saw on the Apple side of things, we're going to go settings, phone, look at my devices. We've got my connected devices. We can either disconnect it, make it my favorite, or we can completely remove it. So as you can see there, the phone is now completely disconnected, but at the very top of the phone, as you can see, I am still actively charging up. So that's how you can set up Android Auto inside of this thing. What did I tell you? It's such a simple process. But if you ran into any problems, drop down in the comment section below and let me know, and I'm more than happy to talk you through the process and any problems you might be having. If you enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing or sharing it with your social networks, and until I see you next time, make sure you stay safe.